Leaders' questions, and I call on Deputy Dara O'Brien. You've got 3 minutes.
Guramagat Las Ceann Comhairle. Taoiseach, in recent days the Government has relented to pressure and decided to partly address the anomaly that you yourselves created and voted for in 2012 when the former Minister for Social Protection, Joan Burton, made changes to the state pensions contribution rules. The Government ploughed ahead and voted for the cut despite having the discrepancies and anomalies pointed out to them at the time. And I and my party colleagues in Fianna Fáil trenchantly opposed those changes back in 2012. This decision was also made against the background of the blatant and crude raid on the private pension funds of thousands and hundreds of thousands of individuals to the tune of over £2.4 billion. Furthermore, legislation was introduced to undermine the very basis of defined benefit schemes, which led to the destruction of some of the largest schemes in this country, namely the Irish Aviation Superannuation Scheme or the Irish Airport Scheme. The imposed changes to band rates and entitlements to the state pension resulted in thousands of people, women and men, receiving a lower rate of pension. The changes included doubling the number of contributions required from 260 to 520 to qualify for a full contributory pension. And there was a replacement of these bands that were introduced back in the year 2000. Minister Donoghue, the Minister for Finance, while on radio after the recent budget, described the cuts as bonkers and unbelievable, yet he voted for them. Minister Doherty herself was exasperated, but she voted for them. Deputy Joan Burton said she regrets those cuts, but she introduced them and voted for them. Your decision has resulted in some instances of people losing in the region of €30 a week or €1,500 per annum. And this is a significant sum of money for most people, particularly those who are just solely dependent on the state pension. Minister Doherty did a review after the anomaly was pointed out to her, and particularly after the private member's motion brought forward by my party colleague Willie O'Dea and by Fianna Fáil that was actually agreed in this House. And it was agreed unanimously in this House with the abstention of government members, I might add. There was an announcement this week that the Government is going to partially address the anomaly by introducing a home carers credit, and letters will be sent out asking for evidence of those affected to liaise with the Department so the anomaly can be addressed. And whilst this is a small step in the right direction, and it is welcome, there are still many related issues to be addressed. The Minister is still not able to confirm how many people will benefit and cannot rule out the fact that the pension regime will not impact on those coming up to retirement in the next 3 to 5 years. Furthermore, she cannot confirm when 40% of those affected, in other words men, will have their pension reductions addressed. Are you content, Taoiseach, that this is now no country for old men? Is your government anti-men? The issue has to be addressed, absolutely, but should be addressed for all of those affected, not just for the portion of people that the Minister has identified. And I want to ask you, are your government actually committed to reversing the 2012 changes in their entirety and reinstating the former pension regime, which is the fairest way to proceed, in our opinion?
Taoiseach, 3 minutes.
Look, over the last number of months, Minister Doherty has been examining how and when the 42,000 people were affected by the rate band changes in 2012. We listened and we worked on a solution. And this week the Government formally approved a positive change in our pension system. The announcement means a new total contributions approach will be available to pensioners affected by the 2012 changes and will include up to 20 years of a new home caring credit. This approach will significantly benefit many people, particularly women, but also men, who may have taken time out of the workforce to look after children or to care for parents, whose work history includes an extended period of time outside the paid workplace while raising families or caring, as I say. Under the total contributions approach, the pension given will more closely match the contributions made, which I think is fair. This approach will make it easier for pensioners assessed under the yearly average model to qualify for a higher rate of state pension. The TCA will ensure that the totality of a person's social insurance contributions, as opposed to the timing of them, determines the final pension outcome. Deputy, the Minister has worked closely with your spokesperson in this area and indeed with other parties. What we are talking about doing now is going to cost the state about €40 million this year. So this is a significant change that I think we should welcome rather than look to undermine.
Deputy.
I'm not looking to undermine it in any way, shape or form, and actually I would put it to you, Minister, that your government was dragged kicking and screaming into reversing the changes that the previous Fine Gael government actually brought forward. It is welcome, certainly, that in time many people will receive a reimbursement of monies that should have been due to them. And it is also true to state that most of those people are women who rightly so worked from home and raised their family and had a break in their employment service, and we welcome that, and that's one of the things that we as a party have been calling for. I'm just asking you, though, are you going to leave another cohort of people behind? And I think the Minister actually needs to, and Taoiseach, you and your government need to ensure that whilst you're dealing with part of it, and it is a small step, and not a small step in that direction to rectify it, that you're not leaving other people behind. And by the approach that Minister Doherty is taking, she actually is leaving those people behind. So I would ask you and your government here to commit to actually putting forward a plan to reverse those cuts in their entirety. We accept the move forward or the change proposed is a step forward, but we won't accept the fact that there are others who may have been unemployed at the time, may have been self-employed, may have actually been training at the time, are going to lose out. And that could be in the region of 40,000 additional people. It needs to be addressed.